someone. You get along well. In a few days, this person occupies all your thoughts. You already imagine your life together, your memories, your plans. Then, a small sign, a late reply, a coldness, a silence, and everything falls apart. You feel empty, anxious, lost. You ask yourself, why do I get attached too quickly? Why do I give so much power to someone I barely know? It's not weakness. It's a mechanism that many people live with in silence. Today, we're going to face this mechanism. We're going to understand why your heart races so fast. And we're going to learn to slow down without becoming cold.
Emma, you just described my love life. I meet someone, I get attached immediately, and then I suffer, sometimes even before anything happens. I spend hours analyzing their messages, imagining what they think, being afraid they'll leave. My friends tell me, you get attached too quickly, let it happen. But I can't do it. Why do I do this? Why can't I be detached like others?
First, know that you are not alone. Many people live with this anxiety of quick attachment, and it's not a flaw. It's often the result of a deep need, the need to feel safe, to be loved, not to be abandoned. The problem is not getting attached. The problem is that your attachment activates too early, before the other person has proven they are reliable. You attach to a promise, not to a reality. You attach to what you imagine, not to what really is. And it's this disconnect between the imaginary and the real that makes you suffer.
But how do I tell the difference between attaching to a promise and attaching to someone real? Because in the moment, everything seems real. The smile, the attention, the little gestures. I feel something strong, and I want to believe it.
What you feel is real. It's not false. But what you feel is your own desire, your own capacity to love. You project onto the other person everything you want to experience. The problem is, that person might not be who you imagine. They have their own doubts, their own fears, their own limits, and you already attach to them before you even know those limits. This is called anticipatory attachment. Your brain, which is thirsty for connection and security, creates a bond very quickly to reassure itself. But this bond is not yet based on real experiences. It's based on hopes, and hopes break easily. A misinterpreted sentence, a silence, a delay, and your whole castle collapses because your castle wasn't solid. It was made of dreams, not foundations.
So how do you build solid foundations? How do you get attached gradually without rushing everything?
Imagine a garden. You receive a seed. If you want it to become a strong tree, you don't plant the seed and water it 10 times a day, hoping it will grow in a week. You prepare the soil, you plant it, you water it regularly, and you wait. The seed needs time. It needs roots. If you pull on the sprout to make it grow faster, you tear it out. A relationship is the same. Attachment is a root. You can't force it. You can't rush it. It grows with time, with shared experiences, with trust that builds little by little. If you attach too quickly, you want the root to grow in one day. But that root is fragile. It breaks at the first wind. Those who attach slowly are not less in love. They are more realistic. They let time do its work.
But I tell myself that if I attach quickly, it's because my feelings are sincere. Isn't attaching slowly loving less?
That's the most common mistake. We confuse intensity with depth. Quick attachment is intense, but often shallow. It's like a straw fire. It burns very strongly, very fast, and it goes out just as fast. Slow attachment, on the other hand, is like a wood fire. It takes time to catch, but it lasts for hours, and it truly warms you. Loving more strongly is not about attaching in 3 days. It's about building something that can withstand storms. And that takes time. When you attach too quickly, you don't yet know the other person. You know an idealized version. You fall in love with your own projections. And when reality appears, and it always appears, you are disappointed. It's not the other person who changed. It's you who discovered who they really are. Tony Robbins says, "Love is not what you feel, it's what you do. Attaching is not an emotion, it's a construction, and you don't build a house in one day."
Does science explain why some people attach more quickly than others?
Yes, there's a very well-known theory, attachment theory, developed by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth. It explains that our first bonds with our parents, or caregivers, create an attachment style that influences our adult relationships. There are several styles. The secure style, these people trust. They attach gradually. They don't panic at the idea of being alone. The anxious style, these people are afraid of abandonment. They attach very quickly. They need a lot of reassurance. The avoidant style, these people flee attachment. They keep their distance. If you attach too quickly, you probably have an anxious attachment style. It's not a disease. It's an adaptation your brain learned to survive emotionally. The good news is, you can evolve toward a more secure style. The brain is plastic. It can change. But it requires understanding your fears and learning new ways to react. There are also neuroimaging studies that show that when you think of someone you're attached to, certain areas of the brain activate. The prefrontal cortex reflection and the limbic system, emotions. In people with anxious attachment, the emotional reaction is faster and stronger, while reflection is slower. That's why you feel an intense emotion right away before you've even had time to think.
You mentioned James Clear and Carol Dweck in other podcasts. Do they talk about attachment?
Indirectly, yes. James Clear says, "You do not rise to the level of your expectations. You fall to the level of your systems." Applied to attachment, that means you don't become more secure by telling yourself, "I'll attach less quickly." You change your systems. You change your thought habits. You change how you react to messages. You change how you spend your time alone. Those are systems. Carol Dweck would say, "A fixed mindset makes you believe your attachment style is a fixed identity. I'm someone who attaches too quickly, period." A growth mindset tells you, "I can learn to attach differently." That's a huge difference. The first condemns you. The second opens possibilities. Brené Brown, who works on vulnerability, says, "Vulnerability is not weakness. It's the courage to show up without guarantees." Getting attached is vulnerable. But attaching too quickly is not vulnerability. It's rushing. True vulnerability is daring to show who you are without throwing yourself into someone's arms before you know them.
So I can learn to attach differently. It's not a fate.
No, it's not a fate, but it takes work. The work is learning to slow down, to observe, not to interpret too quickly.
Let me give you a very fresh example. 2 weeks ago, I met a woman on an app. We talked a lot. We laughed. We saw each other twice. From the first evening, I already imagined her as my girlfriend. I checked my phone every 5 minutes. When she took 2 hours to reply, I panicked. Finally, she told me she wasn't ready for a relationship. I was devastated, yet I hardly knew her.
Let's break down this example. What happened? You attached to a person you didn't really know. You attached to the idea of a relationship, not to the reality of that person. Why? Maybe because you really wanted to be in a relationship. Maybe because you were afraid of being alone. Maybe because her early attention awakened a deep need for security. The consequence is that you suffered as if you had lost someone important. But you didn't lose someone important. You lost an illusion. The pain is real, but its cause is a projection. If you had taken the time to really get to know her, you might have discovered she wasn't right for you, and you wouldn't have suffered.
That's hard to hear, but it's true. I suffer more from the loss of an illusion than from the loss of a real relationship.
Exactly. And that's why understanding the mechanism is important. When you realize that your suffering comes from your projections, you can start to diffuse them.
Give me a concrete method to stop attaching too quickly. I need steps.
Here's an 8-step method. I call it the SLO down method. S. Spot the pattern. The first time you meet someone you like, tell yourself, "Watch out, my anxious brain is going to want to attach right away." This is a known pattern. Just naming it creates distance. L. Let time pass before idealizing. Don't build stories in your head during the first few days. No, what if we move to the countryside? No, she's perfect. Stay in the present. Tell yourself, I don't know her yet. I don't know who she really is. O. Observe facts, not fantasies. Ask yourself, what do I really know about this person? Not what you imagine, not what you hope, the facts. The messages they sent, their actions, their words. If the facts are few, then you can't attach yet. W. Wait before interpreting. A late reply is not necessarily disinterest. An awkward joke is not necessarily disrespect. Stop looking for hidden signs. Most of the time, people are just people. They have their lives, their moods. D. Distract yourself with your own life. Quick attachment often comes from an inner emptiness. If you're afraid of being alone, you'll cling to anyone. Fill your life with things you enjoy, alone. The better you are with yourself, the less you need to attach quickly to someone. O. Organize a rhythm. Decide in advance. I'll only see this person once a week for the first month. I won't send more than 3 messages a day. A slow rhythm protects your attachment. It lets reality set in. W. Watch your impulses. Every time you feel like sending a message, declaring your feelings, making a big gesture, breathe 3 times. Ask yourself, is this necessary? Is it too soon? The impulse will pass. N. Never forget you are enough. Your worth does not depend on being chosen by this person. You are whole, with or without them. Repeat this to yourself often.
This method speaks to me, but depending on the situation, it's different. For example, if the person says very romantic things right away, or if I feel lonely after a breakup, or if I'm afraid of losing them.
Let's take each scenario. When the person is very romantic right away, that's a red flag. Someone who promises you the moon after 2 dates doesn't know you. They're falling in love with their fantasy, not with you. In this case, your quick attachment is fueled by their words. But those words are hollow. Slow down. Tell yourself, words are easy. Actions take time. When you feel lonely after a breakup, your brain is trying to fill the void. Anyone who shows you a little attention can become the object of intense attachment. That's not love. That's emotional dependence. The solution, before jumping back in, take time for yourself. Fill your own void. Otherwise, you'll repeat the same pattern. When you're afraid of losing the person, it's often the fear of abandonment speaking. This fear makes you cling harder, as if clinging would stop the other person from leaving. But in reality, the more you cling, the more the other person wants to pull away. The solution: accept that you don't control the other person. They can leave no matter what you do. Attachment doesn't keep anyone. Trust does. When you compare yourself to others who seem to be in happy relationships, you might want to rush things to catch up on an imaginary delay. But every relationship has its own rhythm. What's fast for others might be too fast for you. Don't compare yourself. Listen to your own inner rhythm.
If I succeed in changing, will I become a different person? Will I lose my ability to love intensely?
No, you won't lose anything. On the contrary, you will gain. Healthy attachment is not less intense. It's more solid. The person who attaches gradually does not love less. They love better because they love a real person, not a fantasy. They love after seeing the flaws, after knowing the limits, after choosing knowingly. The identity you build is not someone distant. It's someone who respects themselves enough not to throw themselves into just any relationship. It's someone who understands that their heart is precious and shouldn't be given to the first person who smiles. Carol Dweck would say, "You shift from a fixed mindset, 'I'm like this,' I attach quickly, to a growth mindset, 'I'm learning to attach healthily.' This transition is powerful. It changes everything." James Clear would add, "Every time you choose to slow down, every time you resist the urge to attach too quickly, you vote for a new identity. The identity of someone who is serene in their relationships. One vote at a time."
Emma, this conversation opened my eyes. I understood that my quick attachment is not proof of love, but a sign of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of not being loved, fear of missing out. Now, I want to learn to slow down.
Then remember this, George. Why do I get attached too quickly? Because I confused intensity with depth. Because I was afraid of emptiness. Because I never learned to wait. But today, you can choose differently. Attaching slowly is not loving less. It's loving better. It's letting reality show itself. It's building roots, not sandcastles. The next time your heart races, remember, you have the right to wait. You have the right not to know. You have the right to protect your heart without closing it. Slowness is not weakness. It's strength. Because what grows slowly often lasts much longer.
I'm going to try. The next time I like someone, I'll apply slow down. I'll breathe, wait, observe. I'll build roots, not dreams.
Do that, and you'll see. The person who stays will not be scared by your rhythm. They will be reassured by your solidity.
And that's everything for today's episode. If this helped you, subscribe to the channel and like the video so you don't miss the next one. Take care.